Hi, everyone. Welcome to Domain Sherpa. We've got a great Domain Sherpa review for everybody today. We've got Braden, Andrew Miller, and Drew on the show. We actually skipped the domain game and instead talk about how 2021 is gone for everybody and even get the guests to disclose actual numbers, so you don't want to miss that. And for today's NameJet and a Jet segment, sponsored by NameJet, there's a bunch of great domains, including Kristy.com, HomeProtection.com, Splinter.com, and Treatment.org. And as usual, another big shout out to our other key sponsor, Dan.com, the #1 place in the world to buy and sell your domains with a platform specifically tailored for domain investors. We also get the guests to talk about what they expect as we roll into 2022. So we cover a lot of ground. Great show, and you don't want to miss it. So all this is about to happen right now here on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. So let's go. What's up, Sherpa Network? Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Jonathan Tenenbaum, a.k.a. JT, a.k.a. Jay On, and I am the host and producer of Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Today's show is a Domain Sherpa review, where we get into the minds of successful domain investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics to become more successful domain name investors ourselves. These are the experts, the best in the biz. You don't want to miss this. There are now 4 segments to a Domain Sherpa review. We've got grand opening. That's what's happening right now. You are in the middle of the grand opening. That's where I intro all the Sherpas, see what's going on with them. We talk about, some related stuff, kind of go off on a tangent here or there. So that's the grand opening, segment 1. Then we got segment 2, which is the domain game, and that's where we hear about what the Sherpas recently bought or sold. Everybody guesses on the price. We keep the score and eventually give out prizes to the winner. In fact, Miller here, who is over on my right, who I'm going to give a full-on intro to, is owed a whole bunch of gear. So I did say I'd get that out to you by today.
You still didn't send that?
No, man.
No, hold on. We pivoted. He took too long, so we pivoted to the 8-pin hoodie.
Yeah, I got to send him an 8-pin hoodie now. So,
all right.
He'll get to you within the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Hey, man, that's coming from a guy who actually has his sweatshirt. You got your sweatshirt, man.
I do, but it only took. When was the first time I was on this? Like 10 years ago. So
hey, anything that happened pre me, I can't take responsibility for.
College is waiting for his 8-pin.
Yeah, I got 2 8-pin hoodies on their way to Miller at some point sooner than later. So, and then segment 3 is NameJet and a Jet, sponsored by our good friends at NameJet. That's where we review a list of domains coming up for auction. We got a really cool list today, so I'm excited about that. And then last but certainly not least, segment 4, we got grand closing. We would discuss anything we haven't already covered, what's going on in the domain space, looking at the market, trends, current events, allowing the guests to kind of mention, promote anything they've got going on that we haven't already talked about or discussed. So, with that, let me go ahead and introduce the Sherpas. Over to my right, I got my man Andrew Miller, a.k.a. Ace Rothstein, a.k.a. Bill Belichick, investor, entrepreneur, advisor, some of the biggest domain sales ever, universal.com, candy.com, home.com, walk.com. I mean, there's an enormous list. Dude's got a ton of crazy stuff going on. We'll talk more about that, but recurring guest on the show and a good personal friend and just an OG in general. Down to my lower right, we got my boy Braden Pollock, a.k.a. Tony Stark, a.k.a. Benjamin Button. For those of you who don't know, angel investor, domain investor extraordinaire, general good guy, just trying to keep people safe in these turbulent times. You know what I'm saying? So what's up, Braden? How you living, man?
Oh, all good. Get back to me.
Shit. All right. And then certainly last but not least, you know what I'm saying? We got my boy Andrew Rosner, a.k.a. John Galt, a.k.a. Morpheus, a.k.a. the Dirk Diggler of Domains, a.k.a. Bob Lee Swagger, the Sniper, because that's what Timberland calls him on all our calls. He calls Drew the Sniper, and that shit is going to stick because that shit is dope. And, CEO, president, founder of Media Options, publisher and owner of Domain Sherpa and co-founder and CEO of 8-Bin Productions, and just general and the connoisseur of Joe Rogan podcast. You know what I'm saying? So purveyor of the all news fit to print. But hey, so all good or not, right? currently working through a pretty significant Ledger / Ethereum situation on his computer where we're trying to find a whole bunch of Ether that's just
I
out
might have
there in
lost,
cyberspace.
a lot.
A lot. Anyway,
Back.
all right. So that is our panel. That is our squad today, guys. The co-host. We're super, super excited. We're doing this is a Domain Sherpa review, so this is going to be a domains show. So we'll try to stay away from too much NFT talk. And it's also
that.
I know, but it's going to be a
Right.
short show too because we've got a hard stop here in about 45 minutes. So we're going to move pretty quick. We got a great NameJet list, so super excited about that. Love some of the names on that list, and I'm really psyched to see what everybody's bringing to the table for the domain game. So with that, which is kind of like my thing, that's my segue statement with that. We'll move on from the intros. So grand opening is done. Let's slide right into the domain game. And Miller, man, since you are to my right, why don't you go ahead and give us a name that you recently bought or sold? Let's see what everybody thinks, and let's see who's going to win some swag that might arrive sometime in 2023. Let's get it.
So I was thinking about this when this is my, I don't know how many years I've been doing some version of Sherpa, right? And way back and preparing for this, which is usually the same kind of protocols. And I'm like, it's a little different this time. And it's a rare time because I don't have anything I can either actively discuss because anything I'm trying to buy is extremely kind of stealth and in active discussion right now. And there's a few things hopefully that I'll be able to say next time. And then same thing on the sales side. I will say, it's an interesting time. I've had an incredibly crazy year, right? With some of the biggest domain sales ever. But I just lost a deal. A really, really big deal. I don't think I lost it. I think it's going to resurface and happen in January. But there's no guarantee of that. I thought it was going to happen in December pretty surely. So a multi-million-dollar domain deal, that at least temporarily fell through. And I thought it was worth talking about, right? Because I can't say what name it is or who it is, but, I think it was a good message out there that, sometimes they don't always all go exactly as you plan. And doing this a long time, and I'm sure I certainly know everybody on this Sherpa has had acquisitions they wanted that they didn't get, and sales that they wanted that didn't, that they thought would happen that didn't happen. I'm pretty conservative when I say something was 95% done. It's 95% done, and this one just had to be put on an immediate pause until at least it's re-explored and hopefully revived. It was very similar. I mean, my home.com deal, it was funny because I was thinking back. That deal was dead on December 27th, 2020. Dead. And it was pretty much over. And, we were able to revive it where it closed on February 2nd, right? So sometimes year-end can present some of the year-end things can present challenges. And, this was a multi-million-dollar domain sale. So big category name. And I am pretty confident in this one that it's not dead. It would die if I pushed the pedal to the metal and insisted on it happening before the end of the year. And I realized I had to take my foot off the pedal, right? Mm-hmm. And say, let's regroup in January. I understood what's a lot of factors, a lot of dynamics. And this is a case where I'm both advising the seller, but very close with the buyer. So
wait, so real quick. So
and that's a wrap. Thanks everybody for coming.
Everything you just said. You can't tell us what the domain is. It didn't sell. You didn't buy it. I got nothing to sell or buy, man. Since the last show that I could say.
That's like, let me pour you this empty pot of gravy on your turkey.
It's a legend. I just want to say, look, I talk to Andrew all the time on the phone, and like we're texting. And by the way, he'll write 2 words and then hit enter, 2 words and hit enter. So you get like 14 text messages just like a sentence. He's the worst. And then he calls you, and you're like, okay, well, there's the rest of my day, because he will, as you now know, he can say a lot of. It's a talent, a lot of words, and then at the end you're like, what did he just say?
Yeah.
You don't know.
So what is the lesson to be taken from this for domain investors, right? For the audience, it's end of year comes. Sometimes the deals don't happen. Like just keep your head up. Like it's all good. Like it might come back.
I saw Elliot Silver posted something last night about a deal not happening year end or something, and disappointment of that. And I replied to him too. It resonated with me, right? Like I just had a multi-million-dollar I guess, disappointment. And, that's part of this business. Look, we get on here and we always talk about the great buys and the great sells.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I think that, and I think, look, I think that's a great, and end of year, there's a lot of time for reflection too. And this has been an insane year. We're actually just talking about it today. It's like,
and Braden, your price just went up.
The price of a brick just went up.
I did say it was a unique talent. I did say that.
He did. He said it was a talent. He did. And well, no, I think that's important though. I mean, look, for folks to understand, I mean, I think everybody's got their plans and their deals that they're working on, and not everything is going to happen and go through. And sometimes they fall through, and it's like you just got to keep it moving. And we've seen a lot of wins this year. So I think obviously, having a couple weeks here where things have, slow, but that's the thing, nothing's slowing down. We've got so much stuff going on between domains and NFTs and everything else. It's just crazy. So,
and look, to further up, right? I mean, I don't remember, sometimes since the last Sherpa, right? For a variety of reasons, some that we're all busy with you're busy with Ape-In, I'm doing some NFT stuff and, life and other things that we'll talk about later, but I haven't bought anything or sold anything since the last Sherpa that I would talk about here. That's material, either for myself or for anyone else, because, on both sides, I'm in some pretty advanced discussions, and I haven't closed either side yet, the buy or the
sell. But you've had an amazing year. I mean, despite maybe the sale that has died, tell us and I know the answer, tell us collectively how much you've sold this year. And let me preface it with, by the way, he does not have an assistant. There's no staff. He doesn't even have a website. He's just by himself. He barely has an email address. Okay?
And I think let's do this. So for today's show,
not yet, Braden, not yet.
So for today's show, here's the thing: we've got a great NameJet list. Let's, instead of getting busy on the domain game, where we've got to and to Miller's credit, I mean, I did kind of pull him on the show last minute, so it wasn't like I was like, hey, you got a name to talk about. So yeah, let's talk about the year. This is coming up on, this may be the last domain focused show of the year, although we'll probably do one more, but So what can you tell us as far as how your year went from a dollars and cents standpoint?
I mean, it's been an amazing, amazing year, right? I mean, I've been doing this,
total dollar amount for the year so far.
What can you disclose?
No, I mean, it's not attributed to any particular domain. So just total.
Yeah, you could just throw a number.
Bottom line sales.
45 to 50 million or more.
Yeah.
I mean, right? Like who does, there's a very, very small handful of brokers out there that have that kind of volume, particularly somebody that's by themselves. Like Drew, I know that, you do that kind of annual volume, but you've got a whole team, right? Andrew's got.
Stay tuned for my team, but yeah.
Well, I ran this thing by myself, right, for a long time. And then in the last 4 years, we've built out the team with Chris, and now we've got several other. But yeah, no, it's an amazing number.
There's nothing disparaging about you, Drew.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Right? I'm just giving props to Andrew that all by himself doing nothing and being distracted with NFTs and everything else. He's still doing $45 or $50 million this year.
Yeah, I mean, what a year! I mean,
amazing.
That's just that is insane. So, what about you,
look,
Braden?
let's be clear. Look, I mean, is it replicable? I don't know, right? I mean, it's. I wonder. I think about it all the time. Where's this all going, right? I mean, look, Drew and I have been doing this long enough to talk about. I was just talking to somebody. I don't know if you remember this. I don't exactly remember, Drew, but I forget, it was 1998, maybe 99. It was a company called Real Names, and they took out an ad in the Wall Street Journal, full page ad, and it was basically domains were gone and keywords were going to replace them. And I never bought into it. I never believed it. I stood by it. I kept investing in domains personally and all sides. And now then it was TLDs, right? And then all the different TLDs were going to replace the .coms. And look, now now you have kind of decentralized handshakes and a whole different class of domains. And again, I stand by one thing: the having a .com specifically, but having a internet URL, an address as your guide to get you where you're going isn't going anywhere. And I've never felt more confident in that than I do now, at least in the next decade.
Yeah.
And to me, that bodes well for domain names.
Yeah, no, and I
Very
would
well.
agree. So, and we talk about that too. I mean, I think regardless of what you have happening with Web3 and other things, I mean, premium.com domains are still, largely the, one of the best investable assets in the world. And which is why we can't get Drew to stop buying domains. He's like, just take away my, like he needs like a buzzer or something, because it's like, but that's why. So Braden, talk to us about your year. How was your year compared to others? Like as far as what you saw in the couple of years prior. Was this year also a home run for you, or was it on par with typical?
This year's has been much better than any previous year. I mean, I've already doubled what I did last year.
So what's your number?
I've done 2.5, just shy of 2.5. But no brokerage.
Yeah.
Those are just my names. And I've turned down multiple 7-figure offers,
Right.
a lot of 6-figure offers. I mean, I could have sold another $5 million worth of names probably if I would have taken deals. But like if somebody offers me $500,000 for a name that I want 1.5 for, I'm going to wait.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been a lot of those.
And you have the luxury of doing
last,
it, which is great.
Particularly over the last like 6 weeks. And then but I also have a couple of pending deals that are in the 7 figures that won't close until next month.
Mm-hmm.
Either I'm pushing them for tax reasons or they're pushing them for tax reasons. Right. And then there's a couple that people want to close the end of this year. So, but and I think to a lot of people that think that 2.5 is a lot, I've probably spent over 6 million this year buying names. So, the bank or the CPA would look at it as a loss, right?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, that's not the way it works, because you're buying assets. I wish, I'm finding this out the hard way, because I also spent about 6 million buying domain names. That shit doesn't get expensed.
Right. I can tell you.
And the IRS doesn't accept domain names as in-kind payment for your taxes.
Yeah. Although we're trying, you know what I mean? They don't want to accept, taxcollector.com in lieu of having to pay a big old tax bill. But
I'm looking right now. I spent so far 6.65.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
Year
And Braden, how many domains can you give us a ballpark of the average of cost of those? If you don't want to, obviously, understand.
No, it's on my spreadsheet. I can. The average is 25,000, but I mean that's not really a fair number, because I picked up a lot of co's and IOs this year, nets and orgs. A lot of smaller names, just because I want cash flow. I want names that sell for $5,000 to $25,000. So it's a big bucket of those names that I've paid under $3,000 for, and then a handful of names that I have spent 6 figures for, and some of which are up in the $500,000 range.
Yeah,
and not a lot in between.
That's awesome though, man. I mean, it's been an exciting, crazy year. I'm sure that's all going to pay dividends as it goes, because in line with what we were just talking about. I mean, the trends for high value domain names is, they're not getting cheaper. That's for sure. So, and setting aside certain things about different kinds of buckets and numeric this and Web3 that and everything else, it's like, premium.com domains are still, they're still the gems and the diamonds and the mine and everything else, and all good. So what about you, Drew? What can we disclose about about 2021?
I mean, let's say, well, it was a big year. It was a big year.
What's your top line?
We're gonna either be just under or just above 100 million in domain sales.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's what, double your average, right?
That's double. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Is there one or two breakout giant sales in there?
That's the thing. I mean, there's some big ones. There's some big ones, but not so like
nothing as big as home.
But I think if you look at the trends and try to determine like where this happened, I mean, I started, full time with media options just over a year ago. So I don't know if
get
it's
out
like,
of here.
I'm
mean,
not.
there's
No,
obviously
I mean,
there's
hey,
obviously a correlation there.
causation,
Straight up.
correlation. You know what I'm saying?
No, stop it. If there's any correlation, it's with Chris.
Yes,
Is busting his ass, and he's doing an amazing job. And
that's awesome.
No, Chris is
crushing.
Chris is the truth. I mean, nobody works harder than him. And, I say it all the time. I mean, Chris is a rock star in his own right. Nobody talks to more tastemakers, important folks, marketing departments, CEOs, on both the buy, sell side of domain names on a daily basis than Chris. Like, he is literally that dude. And
that's awesome.
I mean, this is facts. Literally, I promise you, there is not a single human being on this planet who is putting in more outbound end user sales work than Chris. Not one, including myself.
And getting to the people that he needs to get to, I mean, that's the thing. It's one thing to be like, okay, I'm putting in all these hours and I'm sending, emails and LinkedIn's and making phone calls and all this kind of shit. Chris gets to the people that matter and better than anybody. And a lot of that's been, but he's been trained by Drew. I mean, like, it's, he didn't learn that completely by himself.
So despite that, he's succeeding.
Yeah, exactly. But huge shout out to Chris, man. I mean, and now he's he's got some help too, which is good. We're building out a little bit of a team, and we've got some really good folks also doing the tech and some of the other stuff that we've got going on. And yeah, I mean, that's why it's really funny to us, when obviously and I get defensive about the the sort of the public perception of we're not as involved in domains as we've been because we're so focused on NFTs and all this other kind of stuff. And but yeah, we are as heavy in domains as we've ever been. Our portfolio is as strong as it's ever been, and our success this year was as good as it's ever been. So, in fact, like you said, more than double.
Well, better, right? Better.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. So, look, I'm not going to take all the credit. I'll take a lot of the credit. Shout out to Chris, for doing his part, and then he and I together, we're like a dynamic duo. Actually, if you think about it, you know what I'm saying. So that's kind of how that goes.
Yeah. With that said, by the way, and I think Drew would agree with what I'm going to say. I'm sure Chris would if he was on the show. It'd be fun to bring Chris on one time.
Absolutely. We've actually had a plan. I mean, Chris, we have a whole show for Chris to do. Did you get your ETH, by the way, Drew? Is that what that is?
Success. I'm in.
Sorry.
I still now have this other wallet though, which I don't even know what's on that.
Yeah, but you got the one that matters and you got access.
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, I think they all matter, but yeah, I got access to the one that I was tripping on.
Anyway, yeah, so that was the ongoing struggle.
Coming back to, I think, look, we're still, despite all of this success that we've all had in 2021 and prior, there's still kind of, a massive gap. And, if Chris is good at outbound, right, and reaching the right people where you have domain X and it's, $1,020,250 or $1,005,000, whatever your price on it is, right? And you have, exact match company wide. It's a $15 billion market cap, right? And they just don't engage and they just don't get it. No matter how good you are,
but that is changing. If you were to say, what is the biggest shift this year? Why did you do, more than double your normal sales? The number one change that I would say is, well, obviously it's a result of COVID, but it was people literally went from this slow, and it was exponential already, but it was exponential digitalization of everything. Digital strategy coming front and center of every strategy for every business in the world. And then it was all of a sudden like rocket ship in terms of, oh my God, and I've said it before, it's like you were faced with a binary choice. Fall on your sword and die, or go all in on digital and make sure you've got the most effective tools in the toolbox to compete. And I think that people leaned into that and the conversation changed. My experience was that it went from like this education process and, 5-month lead times to, it's binary. It's like either they get it or they don't. And it was 5 times more people that do get it and do engage than normal. Obviously, you still have those exceptions, but
I would say, but see, I don't think it's the exceptions. I still think it's the rule.
Well,
maybe you've gone from 5 times 2% to 22%, but I still think, and look, I mean, we're all doing this at the highest level. I speak to more on all sides, major end user decision makers, boards, investors, CEOs than most people do, right? And I'm sure Chris does too. And I still have companies that just drive me crazy because, and I don't want to use, I could give a couple great examples, but I don't feel that's fair to the company, but, or to my, necessarily intelligent for me to do, but, some where you're just pulling your head and it's like, how can one company get it so clearly and 4 others not give a shit?
Yeah. Well,
right?
and look, I mean, and here's the thing. You operate at a level that very few people do, right? And even Chris to some degree, because, your Rolodex is insane when it comes to high level execs at really key companies. And, and I think that, but I do think that we have seen this trend where, as we've gone from analog to digital, COVID and otherwise, and as
no question,
as decision makers are getting younger and having, been exposed to,
I think that's a key point too. A lot of baby boomers retired with COVID. A lot of them, both of my parents retired during COVID. A lot of baby boomers retired during this period of time, and younger bucks and does stepped up into those positions of decision.
Hey, by the way, your dad followed me on LinkedIn.
There you go. But I do think the decision makers are getting younger. They're getting a little bit more dialed in. They've grown up with the internet. They understand the importance. This shift of, again, this whole digitalization of a lot of things, folks understand like domains, the importance of domains and digital assets. And, people may not want to make the jump all the way over to NFTs because that's a pretty big shift for people but domains are have become boring almost, but people recognize how important they are, right? So it's like somebody may not want to necessarily buy a picture of a fucking lizard wearing a sombrero on a skateboard, but buying a domain for your business makes a whole lot of sense for people that know what the online experience is all about.
Some people recognize it more 5 times. I mean, that's not scientific truth throughout 5 times. Some number more than before. Still the minority or the exception, not the rule. And when it becomes the rule, by the way, the big winner is going to be someone like Braden. I mean, right? Because
sitting on the portfolio he's got,
$6 million of domains you bought, if it became the rule and your phone's ringing off the hook for every
$60 million worth of domains, easy.
Yeah, then it becomes, not a few 500,000 and here and there that you reject, but you'd move. Suddenly things would be turning in a more liquid. NFTs are very liquid, right? When the good ones, sometimes sometimes things would be turning in a very liquid. Look, domains are still illiquid, and the more it becomes the rule that versus the exception. If you happen to be the guy that owns enough of those, or have an exclusive to broker enough of those, or however you get there, then it's going to become a lot more of an inbound. I mean, look, Braden knows this, right? I mean, he owns a lot of domains. This, Drew, and I own a bunch of obviously premium.coms, and I represent a bunch, and some of those domains, like really good ones, like what I would consider best, like I'll ask, and it's part of my agreement, they have to forward me inbounds, right? And some of those domains have gotten no inbounds over 12 months.
Yeah. Well, last thing, because then let's move on to the segment. Let's move on to NameJet and Jet. But I think point is where for Braden, when you're buying $6 million worth of domains that you're going to sell for 60 at some point, it's all profit, right? I mean, a lot, he's not brokering domains. He's just literally going to cash in on the, on all that upside, which is really awesome. And but I think for you too, Miller, what's unique is, you're dealing with boards of directors and big companies and big purchases on big domains. And sometimes that can be as easy as the right person in the organization getting it and being able to be the advocate and the driver, or it could be literally roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And, so it's interesting because you'll see that, and each organization is different. And the organization could be super forward facing from a tech standpoint as far as their products, but the way they approach their digital, their digital footprint internally is still, could be archaic. So it's an interesting.
Can I just make one more point about that?
Yeah.
Because I think it's worth making. I've been using the analogy of like marinating, like a good piece of steak. I mean, I have had at least 3 deals this year.
Good piece of tofu. Get it right.
Well, I'm with you on that.
And Braden.
I've had 3 deals this year, where at some point prior, weeks, months, or even more, the deal was a firm dead no at the high level. Okay. In one case, I had to use a lot of strategic persuasion and education and getting in the trenches with the buyer to turn it around. But in the other 2 cases, they just called me one day and said, "Do you still have that domain?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What changed?" And I looked it up, and in both cases, within days of that phone call, one company had raised a $200 million Series D, and one company had raised a $40 million Series B. And, so for whatever reason, you might never know other than more capital, which is obviously helpful.
We're in a loose, we can sit here and bloviate all we want about what's going on, but the fucking truth is very simple. The truth is we're in a 0 interest rate environment with a loose monetary policy, and there is more cash than air, and it's looking for a home. And as it looks for a home, people are trying to generate outsized returns.
Sure.
And they're utilizing whatever tools they can to do so. And so it's, they're buying better domains. They're, staffing up.
But sometimes they say no, and they let it marinate, and something changes in their world, and they remember, and then the time is right, and they pick up the phone and call back.
100%. It's an
not
Inception.
always instant. Yeah.
It's like the movie Inception. You got to plant that seed in their mind, then you go away, and then they wake up one night thinking like it was their idea, and then that's when it actually is, going to happen, right? It's one thing when you and I try and convince somebody. That's a very difficult thing that rarely succeeds. It succeeds on the stick, not on the carrot, when it does succeed. But when you just plant the seed gently and you go away, maybe you got to water the seed by follow-up or whatever, but they wake up one day, they have a board meeting one day, whatever happens, and they go, "Oh, that domain name, that would fix this." And they feel like it was their idea. And,
or they were just waiting until they had the cash. I mean, I got a call last week from a CEO founder of a company, and he said, we've wanted this name. It's shorter and better than what we have now. And, we've talked to a bunch of brokers that have called us saying that they can get it for us, but I know it's your name. So I figured I'd call you directly. I said, yeah, none of those people represent me. And he said, yeah, I figured. He says, but we just raised a $30 million round, so it's now time to stock.
Yeah.
Like, great. No. And it's $1 million name. So I'm like, okay. So we're now in conversation.
Yeah, that's all good. All right, cool.
And if he calls me, I got to
go. All right. So with that, all good. 2021, great year. A lot of good stuff in there. So let's move on. We got segment 3, the next segment, which is NameJet Gonna Jet. But before we do that, let's jump really quick here what our sponsors have to say. Big shout out to Dan.com, our key sponsor, who is the #1 platform for investors for buying and selling domains. And, every day they're making advancements and doing really, really great shit with their platform to really be the leader in the space. So huge shout out to them. Super excited to be working with them on a couple of different things and having them involved here. So want to just say that. Then we're going to jump to a quick commercial, and then we come back. We're going to do NameJet Gonna Jet, where we're going to look at some names going to auction and keep it moving here on DomainSherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Be right back. Get money.
Media Options is the industry's leading domain broker specializing in domain acquisitions, high-value domain sales, and domain name consultation. As pioneers and thought leaders on the subject of the domain aftermarket and domain name value, plus through their clear domain acquisition service, Media Options offers startups and established corporations an unparalleled scope of high-value domain options, providing access to domain names and curation technologies not available elsewhere. Media Options believes in the power of a great domain name and is dedicated to helping you obtain yours. Call or email today to put a domain to work for you.
All right, what's up, everybody? We're back here on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Like I said, this segment coming up is NameJet Gonna Jet, sponsored by our good friends at NameJet. We've got a list here, about 18 domains. As usual, you can see the list. Go to the DomainSherpa.com. Go to the page for the actual show. You can download the spreadsheet that's got them. All these names have about a week or two at least until they go, except one goes today, which I'm going to throw out as HomeRestoration.com. So the day that this airs, which should be, I believe, the 21st of December, tonight is the night that it will go out of pre-release. So the way these work, they're all expiring domains. You have to have a bid on the domain, or at least a back order, $69 or $79 before the end of the pre-release period, so that you can participate in the auction. So make sure you get that in time. It's a really, really good list. A lot of really, really great domains. Opportunity to add to that portfolio before the year ends. So let's go through and kind of dive right into it. So Drew, you want to talk about some of the names that are on the list? What you like, what you don't like. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's all pretty good. I guess, I don't know what Auto Tax is. It's not a terrible brand, I suppose, but I don't really love that name, I guess, on the balance of the other names. Cash Here could be a decent, like, check cashing business or type of thing, but, Cash Advance or something, but I don't love it. I hate double H in the middle there. But there's all the names are pretty good. I mean, treatment.org, I love that name. PPP.org,
All right, well, let's not rattle off the whole list. Let's let everybody talk. Let's.
I named 2 names.
You named like 6 names right there. So
no, I gave you 2 that I didn't like, and I gave you 2 that I liked.
All right, good job.
Jeez.
So treatment.org I really like, and PPP.org I like a lot. I think actually both of those. So what do you think treatment.org sells for? And this is to the whole group, so this is to everybody. So what do you think a name like that?
Well, I remember therapy.org in the GoDaddy live auction.
I remember
that went
too.
for like 35. I think I bid up to 30, and then it went for just above that. I think treatment is not quite therapy, because therapy is really a hot sector, but still very good domain. I think, I don't know, 7, 8 to go for on NameJet.
Okay.
PPP, it should go for 3, but everything's just been going so high lately.
Yeah.
Okay.
And PPP
I agree.
is the one. I don't know what it's going to do. It could be 10 for PPP. Because isn't that it's PPE is personal protective equipment. PPP, I don't know. I mean, triple P. Good name.
3P, baby. P3.
3P.
I remember when we sold VVV.com on NameJet.
Yeah, that was mine.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said we, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. Although you
two need to work something out. I mean,
no, it's fine. It's been a long year. We're all pretty stressed and burnt out from a lot of success. You know what I'm saying? Success begets stress sometimes. And
it's like, I'm gonna win so much, you're gonna be tired of me winning.
So
the PPP, by the way, you're thinking of the PPP loans, the personal.
That's
yeah,
what it is.
okay.
Exactly. That's what it was.
So
I knew that was like a
So what do you guys think about that one?
Zeitgeist term.
I feel like PPP is kind of hopefully yesterday's news.
Wow.
Hopefully, right?
Listen, you are tripping. If you think that's yesterday's news, you are tripping. Just wait. They're about to do when they do the first interest rate hike next year, the market's gonna puke, and then they're gonna say, no big deal. Then they're gonna do a second one, and the market's gonna literally it's gonna be bye, see you later. Like 60%, 70% losses. And then they're going to come in and go, let's turn on the PPP engine again. This time, we're going to do it with a CBDC maybe. We're going to have you're all going to have a direct bank account with the Fed. And we're going to just make it rain on you. And you're going to get,
Other than the Paycheck Protection Program, it's just a good, any triple repeating letters like that's pretty solid, right? Because it's super memorable. And actually, it's more memorable because of the PPP program in the U.S. Like, it's now like just like you're like, what is that thing? And you didn't even remember what it was initially, but it's memorable because it's kind of been branded.
Yep.
And there's only 26 of them, 3-letter repeating .orgs, you know.
Right. I mean, look, it's valuable in that regard, right? As a standalone, irrelevant of what it stands for in the COVID era, right?
Right.
Well, and I remember when we sold VVV, like at that point, the NameJet bidding increments were still like $50 or something, even up over $1 million or 100.
I was ready to kill you. I was like, can you please increase these bid increments?
It was like, wait 5 minutes and then it'd like go up $100.
Because it was like bidder fatigue.
$100.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all right. Well, Braden, what else? What do you think? Kind of moving it over to you. I think there's the .orgs at Kiki.net, man. I mean, I included a .net because I know that's your vibe as well. What do you think of that one as well?
Well, I mean, Kiki is, I mean, it's certainly decent because it makes for a good brand. And if it makes for a good brand, you know, if that was a .com, we would all be jumping all over it.
Right. It's not.
And so, you know, it's a .net, not as good, but, you know, is it worth, 5%, 1%, right? So it's definitely, it has value because it's a brand and because the person who wants Kiki can't afford the .com, you know, if they can't, then they can get the .net. So I think my two favorites on this list, Splinter.com. I like kind of these generic words that like what's Splinter, other than like, you know what a Splinter is, but it could be used for anything.
Master Splinter from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh,
there you go.
Or not that. But you know, I like those kind of empty vessel kind of names.
Yeah.
And then the other one is Kristy. You know, first name domains do pretty well. As a matter of fact, I've got a broker request for one right now. So and then here's another lead gen, homerestoration.com.
Yep.
Home improvement leads are huge, and home protection.
True Wash, listen up. That's right up your alley.
Right.
Yeah.
So home restoration,
like I said, that one goes today out of pre-release. So I think that one's going to do better than its, you know, sort of its estimate value. You know, which is only like.
Well, it's a good lead gen name, as is home protection for alarm systems.
Oh
so
yeah, I think home protection is home protection. Which one do you like better, home protection or home restoration?
You know, both from a lead gen perspective, it's hard to say, but both are high value because repair, like home remodeling leads are huge. Somebody comes in and, you know, it's $80,000 for whatever, you know, remodel. And then home protection is subscription. And so it's, you know, it's $34 a month forever. So those are also high value leads.
Yep.
But
which one do you like better? If you had to pick one right now, I mean,
it's a toss up, honestly. Home restoration is a little long and not exactly the term that's used. Home protection, on the other hand, is a really good term.
Okay.
But the remodel leads are worth more than the alarm leads. So
no question.
All right, cool. I like it. I think that's good. What about you, Miller? What do you think as far as the list?
I got one name and only one name.
Okay.
I mean, I like home restoration. It's kind of a little bit, and I like, you know, but so one name jumped out at me for a couple of reasons, personal and domain value, and that is Enjoy Life. One, I enjoy life. I think we all do. We're all kind of happy, positive, enjoy life guys here. But you know, hey, enjoy life, like number one. But it's funny. I am advising on two names right now. One is Bring It, and one is Be Bold.
Oh, I like both of those.
And you know, there's a lot of usage of Bring It and Be Bold out there. You know, there's exact match companies called Bring It. They're well-known slogans. They're very cool names. And I kind of think Enjoy Life is like one of those, right? I mean, it's not as like kind of slangy as Bring It and Be Bold, but it's right. It's kind of in the same, you know, mantra of slogan that is, you know,
we're consulting on it. You know, we're consulting on itsbeenbroughton.com, and I'm just playing.
What?
No, I'm kidding. Like, you know, like it's just I don't know, man.
That didn't land.
Valley Girl reference, right?
Yes. Thank you. I don't know.
Look, I like Bring It a lot. I'm getting interested.
It's
in it.
been
I'm having
brought
cool
in,
conversations, right? I mean, bring it, be bold, enjoy life. They're kind
Yeah,
of
I love the positive colloquialisms. You know, I think those are like, to me, I think those sayings that are you know, popular and vernacular and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, be bold and bring it are great. Those are fantastic because they are like positive, but, you know, sort of aggressive in a really, you know, again, a positive kind of sort of actualizing way. That
and they're
can
both
be,
going to be 6-figure sales.
yeah, for sure. So is Enjoy Life a 6-figure domain?
I think it could be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look,
I'll
I think Enjoy
I'll
Life.
bid on it. I'm going to bid on it.
Enjoy Life
I'm not
to
gonna-
me, you know, that's food, it's travel, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's a great travel domain or some other type of way to, you know, I mean, it could be a really good brand, Enjoy Life. I mean, you know, I'm with you. To me, that's one of
I
my
was trying to
favorites.
buy bekind.com for
Well, that's a good one
that's
too.
another one.
for a while, and it was like 15 grand from GoDaddy, and I was like, oh, on the fence, and you know, I was like, I'll take it for 10. They wouldn't budge, and I was just sleeping on it. And then Ellen DeGeneres comes along, and her whole thing is called Be Kind, and she bought it, and now it's, you know, huge thing.
I like. Look, I mean, I think there's a nice niche, and I never really had thought about it before, you know. But now with be bold and bring it, and some of the conversations I'm having, like, and seeing kind of not only the conversations, but who's out there using it, legitimate businesses, right? Like, you know, I feel like Enjoy Life. Enjoy Life probably doesn't fit those two. It's again probably not as used out there already, but I mean, God, what a great slogan for a brand or a large business. I mean, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
I can tell you, Andrew, that you're not going to get this name because Amar is going to outbid all of us because he loves these kinds of names.
I know. I'm 2-0 against Amar in these auctions.
I love that you're keeping score. That's awesome. And so one name
I'm not going to outbid Amar. I wouldn't pay a ton for this, but you know, we'll see where it ends up.
I like it. I think that there's a name we didn't mention, Reality Check, which I like, but I guess what's the use for something like Reality Check? Anybody like that one?
I like that.
Yeah, I think it could be a good VR name.
Yeah,
Ooh.
or even like fact checks.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, we sold Fact Check earlier this year for GoDaddy for a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I could see this being something like that easily.
Yeah, so I didn't even think about it as a VR play, but Reality Check as a virtual reality company is like, I mean, that's excellent.
Dope.
Man.
No, I love that brand actually. It's a really good brand.
I'm glad I mentioned that one. And by the way, it's been brought.
I'm glad
I actually somehow completely missed that one. I didn't even notice that one.
By the way, it's been brought in. There's like memes and gifs and shit. By the way, that was not like, it's like from some kind of not another teen movie, like a play up on the like Valley Girl, Mean Girls kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think
I actually got that reference, and I'm terrible.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you, Braden. That's why I'm happy you're here on this call. So we've only got about 2 more minutes before a hard stop. I think we've gone through most of the list. So anything else that anybody doesn't like on the list, just to kind of close out, like anything to avoid? Commentators, for example, like
I think I'll tell you what I think about commentator. A lot of people think, oneword.com, you know, lots of value there. There are shitty oneword.coms. This isn't shitty, but it's not very good.
Yeah.
It's not commenters, it's commentators. It's the plural. I don't know what you use it for. It's long. Frankly, it's kind of tough to spell.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's only 3 names on here I didn't back order, and that's one of them.
Okay. What are the other 2?
Yeah, me too.
The ones that I mentioned earlier.
All right. Cool.
I didn't love Splinter. I mean, I know Braden likes point that one out. I mean, to me, Splinter's kind of a if you be kind and enjoy it, but it's a negative. Like, yeah, I mean, it's a negative that you get one in your finger. It's not a positive thing, and it's kind of a fractured, splintered.
Yeah, but
what about fractionalization, man?
That's why I liked it. That's why I wasn't even commenting.
Think about how badass it is for a fractionalization platform for any kind of
fractured.
No, I know. I get where you're coming from.
We said fractionalization.
And I understand where you're saying about it having somewhat of a negative connotation. Getting a Splinter sucks. It's annoying. It's like painful or whatever. But Splinter as a fractionalization platform,
yeah, but listen, I sold flop.com for a lot of money. That's super negative. I sold what was it? Some horrible domain like not
Look,
ugly. It's like, what was it? Something terrible.
Yeah, so
super terrible.
Negatives aren't always
and
negative.
It's like mid six figures.
Yeah, negatives aren't always negative.
It takes just a small shift of perspective. Somebody comes along and says, "Oh, I'm going to use it for X," and you go, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Like, oh, I want, I fractionalized this NFT on Splinter.com. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, that shit works.
I think Splinter is a really dope brand.
I don't remember how much, but a couple of years ago, I sold breakable.com, for whatever, like 10X. And I have this name Bloated. Like, I don't even know why I bought that, but I haven't sold it yet, but I have had 3 serious conversations with different people that made serious offers.
Because one of the biggest common medical problems is people are bloated, because they have bad digestion. And so they take all these enzymes.
They don't drink enough water.
And they take all these enzyme pills to try and remove bloating, but
let's close it out. So we're gonna do this. So we're down to the last minute. We went through the list. NameJet gonna jet. I think there's a lot of good stuff. So definitely everybody get your back orders, grab the download, grab the sheet from DomainSherpa.com. In these last 30 seconds, anybody else have anything they want to close with? Miller, I know you got to jump. Anything else as far as the year's ending? Anything
here on Adidas.
We got the Adidas drop coming.
Look, bottom line, I'm really excited for the end of the year. I am working on, as we all are, I'm sure, some massively big things in the domains, both sides, buy, sell, something even bigger picture than that I hope can talk about in early January. And doing some cool NFT stuff. Look, digital assets, right? I'm all in on digital assets in 2022. And
who owns digitalassets.com?
No,
me.
You do.
Nice.
Can't you say us? Can't you say us? Why is it always got to be me? You know what I'm saying?
Because hey, JT,
because there's this thing called the stock
come work with me. It will always be you, we.
See, Drew, this is what I'm telling you.
Put that in your pronouns.
This is what I'm telling you. Oh, no.
Anyway, right. I think it's going to be an exciting year. That's the bottom line. I can't wait. I got some big shit cooking, and, I'm excited to talk about some of it in 2022.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
And I'm doing it cautiously because I do think, there will be some corrections going on as well. So across the board.
Yeah, we expect that too. What about you, Braden?
There's a lot of just a flurry of activity the last couple of weeks, buys and sells. I've had 3 buys that 3 purchases that I was making that fell out over the last week, which is weird. 3 6-figure transactions. It's strange. But at the same time, I've had people come to me and they're buying names or making substantial offers. So I see a lot happening just over the next couple of weeks, before year end. So I'm looking forward to that. It's been strange, like way more activity in December this year than I remember for years.
Yep, that's the thing. We haven't been able to get a break. So, and Drew, anything on your end that you want to tell the audience before we jet?
No.
Nope. All right. Well, all is good. We definitely got a lot going on. 2022 is going to be crazy one way or the other. I think we expect to see some of that some headwinds and some changes and some things.
There's going to be some turbulence.
Yeah, it's going to be some stuff, but we expected that this year too.
Turbulence is good if you're prepared for it.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and I think we're in an interesting space that depending on how certain things go, like, I think we're still, with what we've got going on, we're still pretty well positioned to be okay, all things considered, and excited to see what comes. So, appreciate you guys taking the time. And as I always say on the show, thank you to the audience for being here. If it wasn't for you, there'd be no us. Get to DomainSherpa.com. Hit us up on Twitter. Got questions, comments, whatever, good, bad, we're around. We're not hard to find. And we appreciate y'all and everybody. If we don't hear from you or see you or talk to you, have a happy holiday. Find some time to decompress, hopefully spend some time with some loved ones, reflect on what a crazy year this is, and just keep you and yours safe. And with that, we will see you next time here on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Peace out, everybody.
See ya.